Hey guys, let's talk about books. Let's continue on with talking about the books that I read in 2022, which admittedly will continue on into 2023 because I have read far too many books. Is that possible? Was too many books possible? I've read a lot more books than I anticipated this year, so this will continue on next year, but also I'm just going to keep recording these in 5-book chunks because I enjoy it, and if you've come back you enjoy it too, I'm assuming. So thank you for coming back. Thank you for being here if it's your first time. We're just going to waffle on about some books that I read. Now, in order to waffle on about books that I read, I need my bullet journal where in theory, I wrote down notes about the books that I read. Did I do that for these 5 books? Absolutely no. I can guarantee you I did not, because life and reasons. We're also going to need coffee, always coffee over here, and this time we're powering up with chocolate because it's December and I need it. Oh, I did make notes about this one. Awesome. So the first one in this video is James Clear, Atomic Habits. You'll probably have heard of this because it is sold over 3 million copies. 3 million. And it's just one of those how to life genre books that I really enjoy. I don't need any of these tips, but I enjoy reading them. Predominantly written by white men with a family and a successful career, and they feel like they have to tell the world about their life. And I just lap it up like delicious yogurt. I don't know what's wrong with me. But anyway, this was published in 2018. And I've written, why did I pick this up? Sure, why not? All these white guys say the same thing, right? Like this, I should write more notes. They're just so vicious and I love them. The basic premise of Atomic Habits is to identify the habits you want to add or subtract from your life, the ways to help add them to your routine to satisfy the achievable and repeatable aspect that habits need. The idea is small reps repeated often lead to results more than big reps done infrequently, and I feel like that's really common sense. I feel like I didn't need to read this white dude's book about it. But I did enjoy it. One thing that I did take away from this book was every choice you make is a vote for the person you want to be. I think that's really powerful, and I've been thinking about that a lot since I read this book. Is every decision I make, every piece of delicious croissant I put in my face is a vote for being a person who enjoys delicious croissant. Take that as a way to add things that you want to add to your life or subtract things that you want to subtract from your life. But that's something that resonated with me. Lots of the examples in here are geared to fitness and weight loss in particular, and that definitely appeals to a specific genre of people, subset of people. It made me feel a bit skeevy, but that's just because as a woman, diet culture is perpetually blasted at me, and if you are not a buff white man, you might be in the same boat. So that felt a little but also I could overlook it and get to the message behind it. Weight loss is, I think, a really easy target for adding or subtracting habits from your life. There was definitely examples. There was one instance of, I get my assistant to do this and you should get your assistant to do this, but if you don't have an assistant, and then it carried on, and I thought, well, that's a refreshing change, because it's always like delegate to your partner, to your wife, to your assistant, to your employees. Like, the people who are reading this book don't have those things, I imagine. 3 million of us in the world do not have personal assistants and wives to carry on the emotional labor of running a business and running a house. That aside, I did like it, and if you like the how to life genre, that is a term that my daughter coined, and I think it's brilliant. Next was one on my Kindle. It was H.G. Parry's A Declaration of the Rights of Magicians. This cover's awesome. Can you see why I picked it up? And it was published in 2020. I read it on my Kindle, obviously. The name and the cover and the historical fantasy aspect really got me. I've really been trying to find historical fantasy this year, and this one is set actually not long after the events of the embroidered book, which Where is that on my shelf? Is it just in frame? Anyway, the embroidered book is set just before the and including the downfall of Marie Antoinette and Louis XVI. 16? I'm going with 16. This Declaration of the Rights of Magicians is set not long after that. What if Robespierre and William Pitt the Younger and the slave trade and the French Revolution, but magic? Yeah, it's pretty much where the embroidered book left off in French history. Problem with historical fantasy, and it's a problem I had with the embroidered book, and I think it's a problem I will always have, is you got to shoehorn in actual events to fit your narrative. And of course, events in real life don't play out the way that a smooth narrative will play out. So bits of it felt jarring and shoehorned in, and I didn't enjoy it. But essentially, you've got magic in the world, but magic is restricted to the upper classes, obviously. And so in England, we've got William Pitt the Younger, who has... is this spoilers? He's definitely involved in magic. And then in France, we've got Robespierre and the whole revolution, like the formations of the revolution. And these two guys have the same sort of magic, but it's their secret hidden magic. And then in the West Indies, slaves who are revolting in the sense of a revolution. And the way that these three connect, the way that magic is influencing these events, and the way that like some dark wizard vampire situation is controlling the events and placing the chess pieces on the table and influencing. And I was really bored. Some characters were good, like some bits were good, but overall I just found it really flat, and I think it's because it was mostly dudes, because that's the history of politics, and the magic was not that compelling, although it made sense in the world and the way that it worked was quite logical. I gave it 2.5 stars. I finished it. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. And the dialogue did not stop, and that was tedious too. I want some narrative around the talking. So, if you're into revolutionary France, the political discussions around the slave trade, but with magic, give this one a go. Plus the cover's really cool, and there is a sequel. So don't let me dissuade you, it just was not for me. Our third book for today is this big boy, Hilary Mantel, The Mirror and the Light. This is the final in her historical fiction trilogy about Thomas Cromwell. Don't read this one first. Look at it. This was published in 2020, and I think it had been a very long time coming. I'm just seeing how many pages it is. 875 pages. Now, I listened to this. I listened to all three. The narration by Ben Miles, which was so good. Highly recommend if you like audiobooks. He performed the story really well, performed all the characters well, and Cromwell like exquisitely. This one runs from the marriage of Henry VIII to Jane Seymour. Yes. It starts out, once the Queen's head is severed, he walks away. So that's obviously Anne Boleyn being executed. And it ends with Cromwell's own execution, which, because these books are written in Cromwell's point of view, you experience his execution. And I'm not gonna lie, I cried while I was washing the dishes listening to this bit. If you liked the first two, you will like this. I loved them. They are an investment, and obviously they are a somewhat sympathetic portrait of Cromwell, but ultimately I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for the fiction that it is. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. The Mirror and the Light, it's Cromwell's later years, and it really depicts him as a grumpy old man set in his ways, just becoming frustrated with dickheads around him. And I don't know if he actually made any power grabs for the throne or was intending to, but it's written here in a way that he's definitely thinking about it, like just fucking give it to me. Oh hello, here's somebody walking by. That was my child. Where was I up to? Yeah, he's just like, just put me in charge legally. He says it to himself so many times, and that becomes part of his downfall when Henry and the people in Henry's ears decide that they don't want Cromwell there anymore. I gave it 4.75 stars because I no longer give 5 stars on the first date, but it is absolutely a 5-star book. Next up is Ava Reid, The Wolf and the Woodsman. This was published in 2021. Look at that cover. It's one of those ones that the cover just got me again. Set in medieval Scandinavia near the Russian border. And it is about Evie and Gaspar. And of course, she is a pagan girl from a community where all the women have magic except for her. And then Gaspar is woodsmen who are like soldiers in the service of the king and the church. Evie is basically sacrificed by her village to the woodsman, and so that somebody with actual useful magic doesn't get taken and killed. But Evie and Gaspar, obviously, they're going to fall in love. Whether anything comes of that, I'm not going to spoil it. They have to race together to save the kingdom. The usual. It was fine. It was okay. I probably gave it 3 stars. I can't remember exactly. I didn't write it down. But it was just one of those ones where it hit all the plot points, but I felt like it was really rushed. Like they ran over here to achieve a thing and then they couldn't ever achieve the thing, so they run over there and then they run back and then they go back to the citadel, but then they have to flee and then they go back, and I just needed them to stop and take a breath. It was felt very YA in that respect, because I find the way that I distinguish them is YA feels very shallow, like there's always action happening and they're always moving and there's no depth of world or character. That's what I felt like was happening here. But at the same time, I did really... I'm trying to talk, bro. I did really enjoy the underlying mythology, the same way that I really enjoyed The Bear and the Nightingale. Those medieval Russian vibes and religion, which I am here for in my fantasy. So it was fine. I enjoyed it. I probably gave it 3 stars. Finally is another one from the Kindle, and that is a reread of Brandon Sanderson's The Alloy of Law. Brandon Sanderson released the 4th book in this little quartet this year, so I reread all the previous ones because I could not remember what happened in them. And I tell you what, I can't remember now in order to tell you. The Alloy of Law is set on a planet called Sadriel, inside Brandon Sanderson's wider Cosmere universe, where a lot of his other books are set. You can see my Sanderson collection here. All of those books there, and the ones next to them, and the ones all along that you can see are set in the Cosmere universe. I love Brandon Sanderson's work, but this is not my fave and not one that I would choose to reread. This is a world where there is magic comes from ingestion and burning of particular metals. Not everybody has the ability to use metals for magic. And also there's another branch of magic that is just inherent within you, and you can use metal mines, they're called, to like attached to your body or inside your body to store a magical ability. So our 2 main characters here are Wax and Wayne, and Wax has the ability to push metal with the ability that he can burn, and he can also increase and decrease his weight by storing his weight in a metal mine. And Wayne has the ability to create a bubble around him where inside the bubble time is sped up and outside the bubble time is slowed. So that, you know, they often in the story put up this speed bubble, debate about, you know, fighting strategy, drop the bubble, off they go and fight again. Wayne also has the ability with his metal mind to store healing, so that in combat he can take bullets and stuff like that and not die. That's beside the point, but that's how the magic works in this world. So in the first book, The Alloy of Law. Wax and Wayne both come from basically the Wild West America back to the main city in this world. And Wax, of course, is the son of nobles. They're not nobles, they're just moneyed people. And he had run away from that life, but now he has to come back and inherit the fortune. But there is no fortune, so he's arranging a marriage to a woman he doesn't know or particularly like, who does have money. So all that's happening. But of course he's been in the roughs for 20 years. He was a lawman out there, and when he comes back to the city and stuff starts happening, he just takes it upon himself to dispense justice, to find out what's happening and save the day. I mean, if you like that sort of Wild West meets the city vibes, if you like the magic, you'd probably like this. I mean, it's totally readable, but also totally forgettable. And I'd probably go with 3 stars. Alright, so that's our 5 books for this video. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Subscribe if you like this video if you want to. Come back for more either way. And you can chat with me about books elsewhere. I'll put the links below. I'm going to put my Amazon wishlist in the comments below as well. You can have a look at what I'm planning to buy. And if you wanted to support my channel, that would be an excellent way. Have a great day. Bye.